Namaste. Welcome to another edition of Navavimarsh podcast. So today we are back with after a 2 week hiatus. I was not keeping well due to health reasons, so we could not continue the podcast. But now we are back, and we also have our guest with us, the academic man. So Namaste, academic man.
Thank you, bhai. Namaste. And let's all our admins are falling, prey to some physical problems.
Yeah,
CSK,
yes, yeah. It's as Mr. Jaishankar said prior to 2024 elections that 25 is going to be a very difficult year for the whole world. So he is absolutely right in more than one. So let's
Shani Rahu is moving slow.
ekdam ekdam Rahu tunge bose ache. So let's start today's program. So today we have a very interesting topic to talk about cinema. Cinema
Yes.
as a tool of narrative. So as you are kind of a movie addict, okay. So
Yes.
for your professional reasons as well as for your personal and other reasons, you watch a lot of movies. I do not.
Yes.
Okay, so that's what I thought. Okay, why don't we bring somebody who really analyzes movies in just more than as an entertainment. So let's start with you with your opening statement. In the, so when we talk about cinema as a tool of narrative, and then we will have some presentation we'll go through. But let's start with you.
Yes. Yeah. So my mind when I wanted to do this topic with you, my mind went to two movies. So in 2002, a great movie. I think you have seen it. I know you don't watch a lot of movies, but I know you have seen this. That movie released in 2002, Legend of Bhagat Singh, Ajay Devgan and others. Okay. And that was a great movie in my opinion. Yes, it had some socialist undertones, but overall it showed a non-Gandhian hero. Basically, who all of us were young at that time, we were very influenced by that. At least I was, and many others were very influenced by that movie. But because it showed how Gandhi actually destroyed the potential for freedom movement in India, and Bhagat Singh and others, and even other revolutionaries who are now Mr. Sanjeev Sanyal is writing books and stuff, and we are discussing so many revolutionaries. Those revolutionaries, who were they? We got to know in that movie, which was a super hit at that time. So in that, a few years later, when Atalji's government fell, under the Manmohan Singh government, we have a movie called Rang De Basanti, which is released in 2006. I'm sure you have also watched that movie. Most of us have watched that movie. Yes. So that also uses the trope of Bhagat Singh. So there is Bhagat Singh in both Legend of Bhagat Singh and Rang De Basanti. But look at the messaging in both. There's a difference of messaging. In Rang De Basanti, they show that a minister is like General Dyer, and they shoot the minister in the middle of the street, and they do Kranti. They do mass Kranti, and a guy who is disillusioned with BJP joins them. Okay, a guy who is a Muslim joins them. There is a Punjabi. There is a foreign girl who is the voice of conscience in the movie. Foreign girl अभी कौन है वो तो अलग बात है. हाँ. So anyway, so if you think about the optics of Rang De Basanti, there's a rich boy, there is a Punjabi boy, there is another guy who shoots his own father, there is a foreign girl, there is another girl who is the daughter of who is the widow of an army of a Air Force officer. There is a disillusioned BJP guy, and there is a Muslim, right? So you have all the sections of youth at that time who are joining forces, young people who are killing a old minister who is corrupt, right? And who is that minister being compared to? That minister is being compared to a racist person like General Dyer, who killed unarmed people in 1919. Okay, so this is the whole thing, that this is Rang De Basanti and Legend of Bhagat Singh. So both use Bhagat Singh, but in very different ways. Now you will now a lot of people will say, so what? I remember Rang De Basanti in particular because there was one aspect of Rang De Basanti that struck me, because Manmohan Singh had to personally watch the movie before it was released. Why? Because apparently there were questions that whether Rang De Basanti dekhne se if there can be a mass uprising among the youth. Okay. So Manmohan Singh apparently watched the movie and he liked it a lot, and he said, "Ha, very nice," and whatever. He maybe said two lines, which was very good, and the movie was released, super hit. We all watched it. We loved the movie. We all got inspired. Okay. Now, interestingly, look at the dynamics. There is a foreign girl and there is a young boy with a lot of potential, Amir Khan, who is not so young, by the way. Okay. So, but he's playing a college student. Okay. So, anyway, and wo sab to hai. But the messaging is that out with the old and in with the new. Now, this same message is what Congress says when towards the end of the UPA 2. Okay. So people like us who were perhaps in school when we watched Rang De Basanti, when we become voters eventually in the next election of UPA 2 and even after that, we have the image of old leaders being bad and the need of a young yuva neta, yuva karyakartas and yuva netas who are better, who are less, who are not corrupt, who are, despite the foreign friends, they are good. Okay, they drink and they party, but they're good people. Okay, and the Bajrang Dal guy harasses lovers, and the Bajrang Dal people are actually, they are bad. They have the young karyakartas of BJP are being used by the Bajrang Dal and Sangh and VHP to promote hatred. Okay, ये सब है. So it's a very nice message per se. We all love Rang De Basanti. It's a massive hit. And then Arnab Goswami happens and Rahul Gandhi's Arnab Goswami के साथ इंटरव्यू के बाद राहुल गांधी जो यूथ लीडर राहुल गांधी ओवर करियर ओवर और तब से वो पप्पू बना है, अभी भी बिहार में भाग रहा है वो सब. That all is great. Now the point is that so this is the power of media in the sense that what you just wrote here, actually Scorsese said that cinema is a matter of what's in the frame and what's out. So obviously no Rang De Basanti told us to go and do what they did, right? But what was the idea? Like if we go to a movie like Inception, where the roots of an idea, where the seed of an idea is planted in your mind, and that seed becomes a tree later. That thing is being done by a visual medium. So every movie that Bollywood released, I'm not going to just go by the narrative of Gems of Bollywood, because Gems of Bollywood does a great job of showing how anti-Hindu stuff Bollywood has been promoting for 70 years or so. For example, Amitabh Bachchan shouts at the Hindu gods in Diwar. They can't save him, but Billa number 786 uska pocket mein hai, so the bullet comes and hits Billa number 786 and saves Amitabh Bachchan from bullet, right? Writers are Salim and Javed in Diwar. In Sholay, Chacha's son is killed by Gabbar, who is a Hindu dacoit. And Jay and everyone is very sad, and Chacha tells Jay and Viru to go and kill this one, Gabbar. And what Chacha does, Chacha goes and does the namaz after that. So Chacha is great, Chacha is very good person and all that. So these images of, and many more movies, Karan Johar movies where girl does namaz and her father gets married to his real love in life and stuff like that, kuch kuch hota hai and stuff. So these are fairly common tropes. I won't just go into that, but I think that the time for subtlety is a bit over. Okay. मतलब subtle messaging देने से और काम नहीं होगा. Basically, I believe. Why am I saying this? Because there was a time for subtle messaging for the when we were not under threat of demographic change and so much problems that we are facing, where there is literal mob rule. Sometimes there are so what Vivek Agnihotri is saying, there is no right to life, right? That thing where before that was, these were issues we could have, if we had the power, we could have taken over Bollywood and maybe promoted some of our dharmic values. That was not done. We are unlucky that way anyway, but we are also lucky that in the age of social media there are no gods in as they were in the Bollywood sense, gods. That today a good narrative, a good film can overnight shift people's perception. So a movie like Kashmir Files, Kerala Story, they, despite the low budget and everything, can change the perception of people overnight, right? In that sense, we can think of it that today's world is one where the visual medium needs to be exploited more and more, and we don't have time for subtlety and hidden messaging and stuff like that. Of course, those were used by the left. For example, every Amitabh Bachchan movie, there is an industrialist who is evil. Every movie before that, in the 1960s, the moneylender who is an upper caste person was evil. That kind of stuff was promoted subtly. Nobody said that go and kill every upper caste, but they would kind of promote them as the villains. I remember watching Mother India as a child, and I really hated the moneylender. And he had openly, like, he had all the Hindu things, like he was wearing tilak and he was doing puja and all that. Then he tried to molest a woman and he tried to take advantage, and he was killed and all that. So I felt very angry at the guy, and now I realize that these were all tropes done when we were children, when we were younger, to make us angry at people who are essentially wearing Hindu symbols, who are doing puja part, who are going to mandirs. Okay. Whereas we have immense respect for those who do the opposite, those who go for masjid or those who are leftist. So that kind of thing. So these things we are realizing now, but just realizing them won't change everything. You need a larger imagery of what Vivek ji is trying to promote. He is using a lot of what the partition period, like the Great Calcutta killings and Noakhali, have shown, that there were dead bodies all over the city, and uh, all the vultures were coming and chewing the dead bodies. Right? They were taking whatever, they were eating the dead bodies, and that kind of imagery needs to come back to cinema. This is similar to how, if you think about it, how Schindler's List and a lot of Holocaust movies actually worked, where they showed actual, the I remember Scorsese's this thing, Shutter Island, where Leonardo DiCaprio went kind of crazy after he visited Nuremberg, Augsburg, where the the concentration camps were, and he saw all the dead bodies and something inside him disturbed. But the images, those hard images of dead bodies, and how Schindler's List also showed those people being killed. Okay, those are images that stay with you forever. In fact, when Spielberg was shooting Schindler's List, there's one scene. So Schindler's List is totally black and white. Okay, there's one scene where there is a small girl who is wearing a red dress, and that is the red dress is just in red. Okay, uh, that scene was taken from a survivor of a concentration camp who says that all I recall was a little girl who was walking in a red dress and looking for her parents who had been taken away by the Nazis. Okay, so that these images are branded in your mind. They are like they are uh, the visual effect is something else entirely. No matter how much stats you read, no matter how many history books you read, the visual power of images that somebody like Spielberg or somebody like Scorsese can show is something else entirely. For example, Scorsese has a movie called Silence. I think 2016 it released. This was a movie where he showed, now Scorsese is very clever. Scorsese showed how the Japanese samurai were torturing Christian converts in Japan. Okay. Now, interestingly, he actually showed how Japanese Buddhists were boiling Christians or putting them on crosses, crucifixes, and letting them die slowly in a horrible manner. So, what is the point of Scorsese's movie? Very interesting. Why would Scorsese show that how Christians were persecuted in Japan? Of course, there is actual historical proof. Scorsese would never make a movie without historical proof. But why would he show that? And again, recently Scorsese showed how the Native Americans were again wiped out by white Americans. Okay, so given all that, my point is this: that horrific images in movies have their own appeal. Many of us try to avoid such things. I recall when I often love watching The Dark Knight or something like that. My father would come in and say, "Oh God, this is horrible. Why are you watching this kind of blood and gore and stuff?" But that's the whole point, that realistic violence, realistic depiction of violence and death, that is a very important part of branding an image in your mind that can bring about an emotion in your heart. Okay, and that's why we must fund the kind of movies that actually show us maybe 0.01% of what happened in Calcutta killings and Punjab and Noakhali and different parts of the country, when the so-called majority community was brutally tortured and murdered by so-called minority community, very peaceful people. So absolutely essential, and why I believe that we can debate all night whether Jinnah was a bad guy and this and that, but there's no substitute for what you can show through actual the pictures of these massacres, where what Vivekji does is he kind of recreates the scenes in the pictures where bodies are dumped on a truck, one body after another. The women who are wearing the sindoor, their sindoor is brushed away with boots. Okay, that kind of thing. These things are absolutely essential for us to understand the brutality of what went on with many of our ancestors. If you don't show the brutality, then it won't give you the kind of empathy that you need to understand what went on.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about two more things before we go deep into the subject itself. The title that I have given, From Ramayana to Marvel, who really controls what you watch?
True.
So I give this title very deliberately, okay, to
Yes.
give a perspective that a lot of people would know Ramayana exists, okay, but when the Ramayana teleserial was broadcast on Doordarshan, okay, a new generation got to know Ramayana as a
Yes.
kind of a visual, as a visual media. Okay, that
True.
how what is the message of Ramayana? Okay, how Sri Ram would have looked like. Okay, so as you mentioned,
Yes.
the power of visual media, and
Yes.
then there's one more thing which is important is repetition. So as you can see here in the new wave cinema, it talks about
Mm.
psychological realism.
Yes,
So
yes,
cinema is something which is a very powerful tool which we have.
yeah,
Okay, and that creates permanent memories in your brain which last a lifetime. So
yes,
that's why good cinema, good storytelling, and good visuals are very important for the narrative perspective because it lasts a generation. And if you can
yeah,
repeat it, it becomes a permanent memory. So
yeah,
now I am going to talk about one more thing. That is, when we talk about the so-called right-wing nationalists, okay, they are very bad at narrative and other stuff and propaganda and all those things. Okay.
yeah,
So actually, Vivek Agnihotri mentions in one of his talks that mm, like before war you have narrative. So war is the
yes,
outcome. War, the physical violence which we see, is the
yes,
outcome of the narrative war which takes place before even the first bullet is fired.
absolutely.
So, and cinema or visual media, specifically in Second World War. First World War
Yeah,
we did not see a lot, but Second World War movies, the visual media was really exploited to create a kind of narratives which we have seen, and that would be the Hollywood playing a very important role in creating America as the global savior. Okay, so
yes,
I want to understand from your perspective that the cinema as a psychological media of control, of narrative, of putting ideas into people's heads. This is
yeah,
something which is an institutional way it has been done. So we know intelligence agencies have been involved since First World War in terms
yeah,
of movie making.
yeah,
Now, when you're talking about right wing people or nationalists are not able to make good movies, is it because
yes,
of the institutional memory support credentials which was built over decades by the state agencies, and now we see that effect being takes place. So is it a bad criticism that right wing people cannot make good movies because they did not had the kind of resources which were made available to them, okay, via psychological warfare, information warfare, narrative warfare, which was done by the countries, intelligence agencies, and movies were part of
yes,
that too.
absolutely. I'll first make a small point to kind of go there.
Hmm,
So when you put the timelines, new wave
hmm,
cinema and then digital revolution,
hmm, hmm.
actually two very interesting movies came to my mind. One is Psycho by Hitchcock, and another is American Psycho. So if you watch Psycho by Hitchcock, he actually doesn't show the guy killing the woman. Okay, he shows that he's stabbing. The stabbing motion is shown, and there's a horrific, sound like ta 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 ta, and which is very famous right now. And the blood that is shown, that is coming out, is made of chocolate syrup. Okay, come to American Psycho, it is absolute bloodbath of a movie, like absolute violence. Okay, uh, now why is that? Because of the institutional problems during the time of Hitchcock. So the censor, the US censor, was very powerful during Hitchcock's time. Okay, uh, and they didn't allow a lot of open nudity and all that stuff. So Hitchcock and all had to actually kind of appeal to your imagination to show the violence, whereas later on the censors became much more liberal, so they did all that. Now, how does this tie into the point that you're trying to make here? And I agree with you largely. So, if we think that movie making is purely an artistic and creative work, that's not so. Movies have always been in service of the state, more or less, state and nation and whatnot. Now, which whose state and which nation, that is different. So that I'll come to. So, for example, Hitler and Mussolini and these people. If you watch Inglorious Bastards, you'll get to know a lot of names like G.W. Pabst and all these people. So German propaganda started very early. Like all dictators, they use propaganda. Now that is fairly in your face. Like they will show that German guy is killing a lot of American soldiers and stuff like that, and the Hitler the myth of that white people being oppressed and stuff, that kind of stuff. And then you have let's say Kim Jong Il, who was the father of Kim Jong Un. He kidnapped once a South Korean director and his ex-wife, who was a heroine in South Korea, and made the director make a lot of movies, because मतलब नॉर्थ कोरिया में मूवी बनाने के लिए लोग नहीं थे. So साउथ कोरिया का डायरेक्टर को किडनैप करके he made him make a few movies. One of the most famous of them is Pogasari. Pogasari is basically a version of Godzilla. Okay. Now Godzilla का जो version था, basically the West and technology is seen as Godzilla. Basically Godzilla was anyway, even Godzilla was actually Japanese propaganda against the nuclear bomb, because Godzilla's body was basically meant to represent a kind of what are the side effects of nuclear bombs and nuclear power and stuff. Anyway, having said that, that means that cinema, since the very beginning, has been in service of the people in power, because obviously, as you can see, cinema is not a book. It is not a piece of painting. It is not a story. It is not a poem that anyone can write or anyone can do. Cinema is a business, most importantly. And when you have crores of rupees or dollars and stuff involved, you need very powerful people to back you. Other than that, you can't make a movie. It's very difficult to make a movie. Now, maybe thanks to technology, you can make short films and all. You can shoot on an iPhone and stuff like that. But even till 10-15 years ago, you could not imagine making a movie on a small budget. And even if you made a movie on a small budget, it would very rarely be a super hit or anything like that, right? So the problem lies in the fact that movie making has always been the job of the powerful and the rich. Movie making has never been the job of poor people and disenfranchised people, or the weak people or people not in power. These are not the people who can make movies. Although communists would like you to believe that their movies are the movies of the people and whatnot. But honestly, even you and I both know that their movies were heavily funded by either foreign powers or by the state in different ways. So having said that, we do insult. I myself on occasion have insulted right-wing filmmakers. Not all. जो लोग claim करते हैं right wings. Now here's the difference. A person like, let's say, Vivek Agnihotri, now he has slowly emerged into a good filmmaker. Like if you see his initial works, like I'm not going to go into his Bollywood crappy phase. Okay, that those movies anyway. Like I said, like he has to service somebody, he has to help out somebody. So, but when he started becoming more, let's say, indie queen guy, he started making movies like Buddha in a Traffic Jam, then Tashkent Files, then Kashmir Files, and all that. Okay. Now, I would say Kashmir Files is much better than Buddha in a Traffic Jam and Tashkent Files, as he's making, right? He's getting a better budget. He's understanding how to make movies, and I'm sure Bengal Files will be one of his best movies ever. Now, having said that, he's improving. He's trying to do a good job. He's learning from his mistakes. He's improving, and that part I can absolutely respect. And there is Sudipto Sen as well. Sudipto Sen's movies, I've seen his Bastar and I've seen his Kerala Story. But the one day that it ran in West Bengal, I went first day, first show, and I watched it. Next day, it was banned in West Bengal. So I watched Kerala Story and I liked it. I thought that, okay, he has a limited budget and he's trying his best. Bastar was better made. He had a relatively okay story, but the problem is that Bastar will not resonate with people as much as Kerala Story. So I always knew this. Like we who live in West Bengal or have seen Kerala and all, we know that what is the story of left terrorism and leftist extremism and stuff. But uh, if we look at Buster, then a lot of people in, let's say, somebody sitting in Mumbai or Delhi won't understand why this movie is relevant. Okay, because the movie is basically showing a very small group of people fighting against Maoists in Chhattisgarh, in the jungles of Chhattisgarh and all. Right. So that did not appeal to too many people. But anyway, I would say he is also trying to improve. But there are many films that come out, like Udaipur Files, like The Conversion, and many other movies that have come out recently, which are trying to show a lot of things, but which are trying to show, let's say, the indie queen side of things, but which fail horribly. I'll tell you why. These movies, I believe, are not made with the right intent. These movies sometimes, for example, Udaipur Files, they got a very good actor like Vijay Raj, but then they made it into some very C grade, B grade type movie. Okay, I'm not saying you have to make it into a Spielberg level or Christopher Nolan movie. You can't with a small budget. But I'm also saying that it's not like Sudipto Sen had crores of rupees while making Kerala Story, right? But he made it. He made a lot of movies with a very limited and small budget. So the intention also matters, and I believe that some movies that have come out recently by some directors claiming, like, if you know the Bengal Files, this is not the first movie that's called the Bengal Files, by the way. There was a movie called Bengal Files that released maybe 2 years ago or something. Okay, and I happened to see a few scenes of these movies, and even the trailer made me laugh. Okay, there's a reason, because again the intention was not there. The intention was not the same as, let's say, somebody like Vivek Agnihotri or Sudipto Sen and these people. Okay, or even the intention was not as good as Rajkumar Santoshi, who made Legend of Bhagat Singh. Your intention shows on the screen sometimes. Okay, so I think that we cannot always compare a bad film, which is, let's say, claims to be indie queen, with a great film like Kashmir Files, which is also indie queen, and put them in the same bracket. Okay, just like we cannot compare a movie like Baba Kano Chakur, which is basically a socialist propaganda as well, with Anurag Kashyap's Gangs of Wasipur, because they both promote kind of socialist ideas. Okay, so in that same way, we cannot also say that every indie movie is not the same, right? All claims to be indie movie should not always be entertained by us. Sometimes they are just what they are. They are sometimes attempts to make black money white. Okay, but I do believe that Vivek Agnihotri's role is very important because he is trying to do something much bigger than himself. His dedication is at a different level because he is trying to. If you regularly follow his channel, I know it's difficult to follow so much, but whatever. I do happen to do that. He is telling us how to tell stories. He's telling people like us who are believers of the Indic way of life and all. He's telling us to use art as a medium as much as possible. Okay. So in that sense, I think Vivek Agnihotri is not just trying to just make money because there is BJP in power. It's not like that. He is actually trying to show other people also that you can be the next Vivek Agnihotri if you try. So I think the intention really shows, and I think that is the difference between why a movie like Udaipur Files can come and go, and Supreme Court tries to ban it and all that crap. But ultimately, Udaipur Files type movie will come and go, and nobody will notice. But a Kashmir Files will have 350 crores, and maybe Bengal Files will have 500 crores, something like that. So there will be a difference always, and I think people are not stupid. I think people understand the difference between a great movie and a horrible movie. For example, Agnihotri's this Bengal Files, he has released a song on YouTube, Kichudin Mone Mone, okay, which is a baul song. Okay, it is a rendition of a baul song, quite well sung and everything. I think Neerajan will appreciate that. Now, that baul song, he has used it to show actually the atrocities of the Muslim League in, on Direct Action Day. So that is genius. That is absolute genius. कि बाउल song के अंदर, which is because he knows that first thing Bengali Librandus will do is call him anti-Bengali. Kanglu Pokho will come and tell him that you are destroying the image of Bengal and stuff like that. People will tell him that. So he has been actually on his channel promoting Rishi Aurobindo, Swami Vivekananda, Raj Bihari Bose, Netaji Subhash. He has been promoting all these people on his channel separately, and he has been doing a great, what can I say, great service to Bengal as well by telling our stories, the story of Bengal nationalists and people like Gopal Mukherjee and all these people, to different parts of the country, to people in, maybe somebody sitting in, I don't know, maybe Gujarat, okay, a village of Gujarat. He does not know about Gopal Mukherjee, right? But he can now, if he watches this movie, which I know many people will, they will at least know the name of Gopal Mukherjee. And they will at least, through Google and all that, they will find out who this person is and why he was so important and how he saved so many Hindus during that horrible time. So these kind of things are very important. And I think Agnihotri stands out among most people. Agnihotri, even Sudipta Sen is not bad, but he's not as good as Agnihotri in my opinion. But Agnihotri is really one of the biggest gems that the Indic Wing has right now. And whatever he's doing, like, I thought Kashmir Files was the Schindler's List of Hindus, and now Bengal Files might be the Schindler's List of Hindus. And I really want to see perhaps one day when even somebody like Anurag Kashyap. Now, this is the difference between me and many other people. Now, I think that given enough money and coercion and influence, somebody like Anurag Kashyap might even make a Indic Wing film, which might be good one day. It sounds impossible now, but remember, even Agnihotri was a communist a long time ago. Okay, now he has changed so much. I don't care if this guy Kashyap even believes the vision or not. But if the Overton window shifts that much that Anurag Kashyap can also be forced to acknowledge Hindu genocide in Kashmir and Bengal and all these places, then perhaps one day even Anurag Kashyap will have some references to these things. Okay, and that will be the victory of the Indic Wing.
Yes. So let me be the devil's advocate here. So in general, in terms of political movement and cultural movement, okay, what we have seen is the nationalists or the conservatives are generally reactive forces, not proactive forces. Because in general, the ruling class or the influential people would always be using the left ideology to actually control the masses in general.
Yes.
Okay. So, being a reactive movement in general, okay, we have to tolerate movies like Udaipur Files, and we will have movies like Kashmir Files. Okay, and that is something because the nationalist or the or the conservative forces are generally reactive. Okay, we react and flip flop too many times. Okay. We will celebrate Kashmir Files and make it like this is the best movie ever made, and on the other hand, we will mourn the death of cinema when we watch Udaipur Files. So this flip flop will go on. Okay, so people should not be worried about what's happening in terms of good and bad. This is a journey which we have to go through, because primarily because there is an institution which is their primary job is to do information warfare. narrative warfare. And the dispensation that we see today in terms of visual media and visual storytelling is a byproduct of that specific organizations doing their work scientifically, psychologically, to create and prop things where they will excel at things and where the right wing will not. That is how things look as it is now. Now, at
I
least,
disagree with you.
yeah.
I think you
So
have a
that
great
we
point
have
there.
to that we have to tolerate it. Okay. See,
Yeah,
when we are reactive, when we wake up from our sleep, now we want everything to be in front of us, breakfast, tea, and everything else. Okay, so we don't want to make that. We don't want to make our own tea and own breakfast because we have woken up
yeah.
after 2014. Okay, and see, so okay, everything is worse with tea today, and we want everything to be get fixed before I come back and have my lunch. That doesn't way.
True.
It doesn't work that way. So that reaction
But
has to people have to understand it and work towards it. Okay, there will be a lot of bad things which will be happening, and you have to criticize the bad things. You have to appreciate
true.
and also spend your time, money, and resources making things better. Okay, right
Yes,
wing is very good at right wing is very good at criticizing things but not fixing
yes.
things. Okay. So spend more time
Speaking of
fixing
that,
rather than
speaking of that,
rather than
yeah.
criticizing. Okay.
No, no.
So
I
now,
speaking of that,
hmm,
one point I want to make to you. This is where actually I feel sad when a movie like Savarkar comes out. Okay, like Savarkar, if I personally spent over 10,000 rupees on Savarkar buying tickets for people. Okay, I know CSK has done it as well. Many others did it. If you didn't do it, that's fine. I'm not saying you have to do it and all, but many people, and it's not always possible, or maybe some people don't have the time. But we ourselves are often, we don't support our own people sometimes. Okay, that is that. Even when a movie like I will criticize Udaipur Files, like you rightly said, we should criticize the bad and also support the good. But I feel bad when a movie like Article 370 is supported even by government and by people. But a movie like Savarkar goes and it's a flop despite the brilliant performances and whatever. I mean, Randeep Hooda made it on a very small budget, but if you watch the movie, he made it. I watched it thrice, I think, and it's such a brilliantly made movie. I cannot tell you. I mean, uh, I am almost, I would say, addicted. I was to that movie. Okay, and I would urge everyone to watch it repeatedly on Z. Even if you, let's say, if you don't have work, if you have a subscription of Z5, just run it in the background with mute. Just so that people can see that people are watching this movie. Okay, because unfortunately, it was not at all promoted by the government or by the people, which is very sad because I think most of us here have a very soft spot for Savarkar in our hearts and minds. And that's where we also have our lacuna. I mean, if a director has a lacuna, I will tell it. But it's we also have a lot of problems which we must get over. We must support our own. The left will. I have seen the leftists promote each other, no matter how crappy the movie now, how horrible the stuff is they promote. They always promote each other. Actually, ऊपर से बाप बोलता है तो promote करना ही पड़ता है. But this is the problem. We cannot wait for some father figure or some powerful person to promote our movies and art. We must do it ourselves organically. If we can make Article 370, which released a few months ago, if we can give it 100 crores, why can't we give 50 crores to Savarkar at least? 50, 60, 70 crores. Why can't we give that to Savarkar? Kitna paisa hai ye? Right. So that is a very sad thing that I believe that, it demoralizes people who want to do good work. It demoralizes somebody like Randeep Hooda, who lost, I think, 30 kilos for the movie. And, who actually, I think, I've never seen, I think I saw a series with Savarkar in it, and I would say Randeep Hooda's performance was brilliant as Savarkar. I actually felt like I was watching Savarkar in real life, and Gandhi and all these people, right? now, interestingly, this is the guy who played Gandhi in the Savarkar movie is playing Jinnah in Bengal Files. Okay, so anyway, he's the one guy who portrayed Gandhi and Jinnah in the in the span of 2 years. But anyway, that's the point that we also did not support our own people when the time came, not that much. And I am happy. This is why sometimes I'm happy that 240 also happened because I saw that Article 370 was heavily promoted, and okay, it should be promoted as well. I understand that it is a positive step by the government. The government will promote it. That's fine. But somebody who is basically your ideological father in that sense, okay, that person's biopic comes out, and this is a guy who has actually made a good movie, and not one mention of this by anybody who is in power. That was very sad for me as well, personally, because otherwise they will mention. Even Kashmir Files and other movies got mentioned by many powerful people in the BJP and all, but not one mention of Savarkar. That was very sad for me because personally I believe that as a movie that was more important than Article 370 or Uri or any other movie. I believe that the fact that the almost the ideological father of Hindutva in this country, his struggles, his suffering in Kalapani is shown, and people couldn't even take out 20-30 crores for that. That's just sad. So anyway, that aside, I mean, it is our collective failure as well. But
Yes,
anyway.
and from this platform, from your perspective, from our perspective, okay, we would like to appeal to people. Like, correct, we were having a podcast discussion with CSK 2 days ago, where Anand
Yeah.
was heavily criticized for nitpicking a lot of things, and he was fined 50 rupees for this. Okay, so nitpicking is very important. You do the nitpicking, but you need
Yeah.
to put your money where your ideology lies.
Yes. You need to put your money where.
Even if it's a bad movie like Udaipur Files, you purchase a ticket, watch it, and criticize
Exactly.
the movie. Criticize the movie that, okay, this is bad thing about the movie. The
No, I
problem is,
agree. I agree.
even the right wing is making a bad movie, go and watch it, because see, you people are watching crappy things which are there in Bollywood, which I would not even watch if I was dying. Okay, I would die. Okay, rather than watch that thing. People are
You would
watching
die if
that
you watched it.
crap. Huh.
You would die if you watched.
Exactly. So people are spending 500 rupees on that, and people are criticizing Udaipur File is a bad movie without even watching it.
Yes.
That is something which
So
has
I
to
am
change.
also of that belief that spend $100, ये जो 99 rupees वाला
Hmm.
show है,
Hmm.
वो
Hmm.
spend करो, मत जाओ देखने. Don't go and watch it, but buy the freaking ticket. You can do it on your phone. You can spend money
Yes.
on cigarettes and food on Swiggy and stuff. You can do this. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it will encourage people to try and do something better. It will encourage people to make another movie like Savarkar or Bengal Files or Kashmir Files, or maybe even छोड़ो Udaipur Files भी हो, but try and put some of these stories somewhere, right? Otherwise, it's just it's just the domination of the left, and we will keep saying that system उनका है and all that stuff. System उनका है तो change तो हमको ही करना पड़ेगा. If we don't work, if we don't put our money where our mouth is, then we shouldn't expect just BJP or Sangh to do everything. That's also there.
Exactly. So now we're going to talk about the movie itself, the Bengal Files movie. I think people have watched the trailers. Shall we watch the trailer, or we can discuss the few points of it? Because I have made the points here. If you can see, cinema's power lies not just in entertainment, but in its ability to shape social norms,
Yes.
influence political thought, create
Yes.
cultural memory, very important, and define
Yes.
identity. So
Absolutely.
when we are talking about cinema as just not as a medium of entertainment, but something which actually influences your subconscious and conscious mind in a very effective way. So, can you just talk about just the trailer of Bengal Files, and can you just give a little bit more intro with details into how these four things happen with Bengal Files as an example?
No, of course. I mean, if you think about it, when the Bengal Files, whatever they're showing, the
Hmm.
trailer, the song, these things, right? They are like, if you say that they shape social norm. So far, Bollywood has given us an overdose of Parzania Bolo, then all these movies. Every movie, Kai Poche included. Okay, these movies, they have shown that how Hindus have always tortured minorities. Okay, for a change, the opposite is being shown. Number one. Number two is that apart from that, it is certainly irking people's imagination. Like, uh, I have seen many people who are discussing this movie, and in fact, I think CSK did a video on the guy who said that this is a propaganda movie. And I went to the guy's channel and I saw that more than likes, he has more comments, and most comments are negative. Like not just negative, they are outright abusing him. Okay, so they have, the Overton window has shifted, and when you see just a trailer of a movie and say this is propaganda, and then the Bengali youth who watch your channel come and insult you, go to your channel just to abuse you and then unsubscribe. That is a movement that is going to change. That is going to create a lot of influence among the people. Okay, and create cultural memory. For example, we've all heard of the partition. We've never actually seen a lot of movies about partition. Now, here's the very interesting thing: Ritik Ghotok and all these people, they made movies after the partition. Well, after the partition, people were poor, they were suffering. But essentially, if you look at it, it was a. If you look at Ritik Ghotok's films, for example, I believe they were some of like the crappiest films in the world, in my opinion. Now, a lot of people say, "Oh, they're great filmmaking and stuff." I don't care. The point is, Ritik Ghotok never showed why these people became poor, why people came from East Bengal and became poor. Okay, he showed poor hai, तो क्या करे स्टेट इतना पैसा डालो. Basically क्या है, when you show a lot of poverty porn, when you show a lot of people suffering, then what the government will have to give money, right? That is the main story there, right? So Ritik Ghotok and all were showing that, but he did not have the balls to actually show why the people came here, why more than 1 crore people left their everything, their land and all that, and came to West Bengal and India. Okay, and not to mention, this is not surprising, of course, Ritik Ghotok's grandson is Parambrata Chatterjee, right? So, I mean, apple doesn't fall from very far from the tree. Mrinal Sen is another one. E.K. Brahma is pointing out. Mrinal Sen's movies are a joke. If you think about it, like, these movies, these filmmakers, they showed human condition, a lot of suffering. Suffering देखने में अच्छा लगता है. मतलब you feel all, I must do something for the beggar who comes to my door every morning. वो सब ठीक है. और government should do socialism. वो सब के लिए तो ठीक है. But nobody addressed the actual issues of partition before Vivek Agnihotri per se. Not in a movie format of this large thing. Okay. And I think that I have been of the opinion that the right wing, again, this, like you said, that there was no systemic support. There are people like Joya Chatterjee, who's a historian in Cambridge. Joya Chatterjee's book called Bengal Divided is one of the most popular books on partition. Okay, Bengal Divided mein, she basically takes some random stuff writing here and there on partition. मतलब Bengali Hindus were writing about partition at that time, 1937 to 1942. and they were writing, and some of this writing was obviously Islamophobic. Like they were like, "Are inse kaise rahenge?" They were, all that stuff. Okay, and she took those writings and said, see, the Bengali Hindu upper caste wanted partition. Lower caste like Jogendranath Mandal did not. So yeah, upper caste ka project hai. Partition is basically a Bengali Hindu upper caste project. Okay. So in one review, I will try to find that review. I had read this a while back. One academic reviewer from America, I think, says that अरे ये तो पूरा victim blame है. जिनके साथ partition हुआ, उनको ही तुम दोष दे रहे हो कि it's like saying that woman was, assaulted because she's wearing a short jeans. Okay, but ये तो पूरा it's like that, right? So that's the same story. Like people like Joy Chatterjee, and she's sitting in Cambridge. Obviously, if you write a book like that, of course, even tomorrow, if you write a book like that and blame Hindus, even you will sit in Cambridge and Oxford. So that's not a big deal. But yahi hai that this is the partition narrative that has been fed to us for so many years. Okay, for over 30, 40, 50 years, we have been told all this crap. And people never actually address this. And I think that Vivek Agnihotri, this is the beauty of a movie, and this is what Quentin Tarantino was saying in a podcast a few days ago, that a movie is not supposed to be an elite thing. That's what Tarantino said. I love that quote because it's real. I mean, not everyone will read Bengal Divided, Abhi baith ke. But I think lakhs and crores of people, if not crores, maybe definitely quite a few lakhs of people will watch Bengal Files. And that is the power of media. That is the power of movie. बैठ के कौन किताब पढ़ेगा? You can watch the movie and then Google the facts later. That's up to you. अभी Google है तो Google करेंगे. But ultimately, that is the power of cinema to undo 70 years of academic narrative. Okay, which is why cinema is very important. But this is the good thing about Vivek Agnihotri, that he actually reads the books and narratives of the left and right, whatever is there, before making a movie. So वो reference दे के movie बनाता है. That's good actually, because he knows that this is the weak point of the right wing. Left will say propaganda, and then we will scuttle around like a headless chicken looking for stuff. But that part is also being solved by Vivek Agnihotri. Okay, he's providing us with references. He's providing us with the right facts, and you can look them up on Google and stuff like that and whatnot. And he's empowering us in that sense, and that is what a movie like Bengal Files can achieve compared to 70, 80 years of leftist utter nonsense in the academic sphere. वैसे having said that, even the left, people like Shekhar Bandyopadhyay and many others who have written on the partition, even the left did not completely deny that there was a lot of violence in Great Calcutta Killings. Okay, मतलब even they thought that मतलब हुआ तो था, and I mean, they couldn't say that this did not happen. कि कश्मीर में भी people often doubt that अच्छा ये तो exodus था, basically they went to Jammu because it was too cold in Kashmir, that kind of thing. But that narrative cannot be said about Bengal, because so many people wrote about the partition and so many Bengalis wrote about the partition that it became a very powerful thing that you can't really deny that the partition happened. Why the partition happened? People think that one guy called Jinnah did the partition. Oh, अच्छा एक आदमी बोला कि let's partition and partition हो गया. वाह, मतलब tomorrow it's like saying tomorrow if I say there should be a partition, there will be a partition. ऐसे तो नहीं होता है ना. So there must be some factors that promoted partition. So what were those factors? I think that's where the power of Bengal Files lies. That he is actually showing that these are the reasons that the partition happened. Yes, socio-cultural reasons for partition, and that's the power of Agnihotri.
Okay, yeah. So Now I'm going to talk about the last point, which is the important part. That is to define identity. Characters and stories provide template for personal development. Interesting take in terms of how cinema actually like shapes your identity. If you are going to consume movies from a very early age,
Hmm.
take the example of Ramayan, the serial. People, kids would have
Absolutely.
watched Ramayan. Correct.
Yeah.
That core memory was created at that very early age, would have
Yes.
created a kind of sense of identity that Prabhu Shri Ram is something which is I need to celebrate, and we connect that story with our own identities as Indians or as
Yes.
Hindus.
No, no, that is definitely there. And I mean, let's say, for example, apart from Ramayana and Mahabharata, which had a huge impact on that time, and if you recall, even during pandemic, a lot of people were watching Ramayana and Mahabharata on YouTube and TV and all. So this is our civilizational memory. So these are stories we heard, but now when you see it on screen, that has a different effect entirely, right? And Amartya Sen has actually written about this, very interestingly. Amartya Sen has actually condemned कि ऐसे रामायण महाभारत दिखाना नहीं है and all that stuff. Okay. Say, this is why people hate Bengalis. Anyway, so so, so anyway, uh, but having said that, so basically, Ramayana Mahabharat, the way we think of it as, okay, this is some maybe religious or spiritual thing as well. For many people, that is. But I was watching some interviews of people who worked on the series, okay, and a lot of people said that B.R. Chopra and others, they actually studied the history, like जो भी historical, वो Bhandarkar Oriental Research Institute and all that stuff, whatever they had on Ramayana and Mahabharata at those times, they actually studied a lot of that. So that's why they, for example, they showed that Sita or Draupadi do not have ghungat on their forehead. Okay, घूंघट क्यों नहीं है? Because by even then the great peaceful people did not come here. Okay, so there was no need to protect. मतलब वो नहीं बोले, but they said कि घूंघट उस टाइम पे घूंघट नहीं था. So the underlying thing is कि हाँ मतलब घूंघट बाद में आया. क्यों आया? Peaceful invasions. So that is how we can see that the definition, how we show our heroes, how we can perceive of what is right and wrong is largely through movies. And interestingly, because you brought this up, Mahabharata and Ramayana, there is a great movie called Hail Caesar. Okay, Hail Caesar, I think was 2014 or 15. Okay, it released. Hail Caesar is a very interesting movie in Hollywood at the time that it was released. It was made by by two brothers. I don't recall. 2016 film. It was made by the Coen brothers. Okay. Now, why is this? Why am I talking about this movie? Because there is an exposition of, this is a Hollywood movie. Okay, this is a movie based on Hollywood. So दिखा क्या रहा है इसमें? What are they showing? They are showing that in Hollywood at the time there was a Marxist influence. Okay, so there's a guy called Senator McCarthy, Joseph McCarthy. Joseph McCarthy wanted most Hollywood people to be put in jail. उनको boycott करवाया था. People like Dalton Trumbo and many others. Now Trumbo भी एक movie है which glorifies Dalton Trumbo. Okay. Now, who was Dalton Trumbo? Trumbo wrote the script of movies like The Roman Holiday. You must have heard of Roman Holiday, or Roman
Yes,
Holiday
yes.
is a fairly common movie that a lot of people love. Now, what are they showing in Roman Holiday? Very interesting. Roman Holiday is basically a kind of precursor to Love Jihad, if you think about it. A princess goes around with a unknown guy and completely safe है. उसके साथ एडवेंचर करते हैं. Okay, and she comes back, spends the night, comes back. Okay, Audrey Hepburn played it. Audrey Hepburn, Gregory Peck. I have watched the movie a few times. देखो, he showed a rich girl going for a poor guy. Okay, Dalton Trumbo. He was the scriptwriter. Now, Senator McCarthy, when he said that these people should be in jail, Senator McCarthy who खुद jail चला गया कुछ सालों बाद because he was corrupt himself. But anyway, the point is, this is the problem. Like when you point a finger, you must yourself be pure sometimes. Okay. क्या हुआ? Hollywood was actually being taken over by Marxists at a point in time, okay, in the 60s and 70s. And ये this debate came that अरे Hollywood में ये सब दिखा रहा है. What is being shown in Hollywood? Hollywood में दिखा रहा है कि democracy does not work. Poor people, hungry people, जो वो मुन्ना भाई MBBS में देखा, poor people, hungry people, okay. Same stuff Hollywood is showing, okay. Poor people good, rich people bad, okay. Same crap they are showing. They are showing basically their version of intercaste marriage. Okay. They are doing all that stuff. Intercaste, interreligious marriage, all that stuff. Okay. Poor guy is good and rich girl will fall for poor guy. That kind of narrative. So in this movie, Hail Caesar, actually very interesting thing is shown by Ethan and Joel Coen that they show that there is a lobby of Marxist professors sitting in America who are influencing Hollywood, and they are agents of Soviet Union. Okay, they actually show this. So this I found that brilliant. Like I have seen that movie again a few years ago, and that was genius. Like they actually showed this. And McCarthy was right. McCarthy was eventually proven right. Like जो लोग ये जो Hollywood में writer लोग थे, they were all card-carrying communists. It was proven to be later. Okay. Anyway, now they have shown movies like Trumbo and all, which kind of glorify those people, Dalton Trumbo and that whole commie gang and stuff. Okay, but that's the thing. Like who is good and who is bad? That is by and large defined by cinema so much that ये हॉलीवुड वाला प्रोजेक्ट यूएसएसआर ने पहले ही शुरू कर दिया था एंड यहाँ पे भी शुरू किया था. If you watch Jubilee, there's a series called Jubilee. They actually show this. And if you think about it, that's exactly what we've been told. We've been told to hate rich people, so we hate Adani and Ambani. We've been told to hate Brahmins. Okay, ये आधे तो if you see जो anti-Brahmin movement है in South India, that is done by all film stars. Karunanidhi was a scriptwriter. MGR was an actor. Jayalalitha was an actress. Stalin to Karunanidhi ka beta hi hai. Okay. So all of this stuff was used by cinema to show leftist power and the weakness and the decadence of Brahmins and Hindus. Okay, that has been done for decades. And यही problem है कि we are really against, we are fighting a really uphill battle, and we are lucky that people like Vivek Agnihotri have come around at this time, who are making such good movies. Even Savarkar and all. Savarkar आज hit नहीं हुआ तो क्या है? Sometimes these movies become hits later. If they release it on YouTube, I'm sure people will watch it. So to quote Kejriwal, YouTube पे डाल दो free हो जाएगा. So anyways, so anyway, that's the thing.
Okay. So last question for you from my end, and then we will take some audience questions. And audience, if you want to talk to us directly, the link is available, and we also have RN Inviter. Just wait for 5 minutes, then I will add you to the. So audience members who have taken memberships, they can come and talk to us directly and ask questions. Just do keep your questions relevant to the topic. We do not want to digress too much. So last question to you is, when we are talking about a cinema as a tool of propaganda, okay,
Yeah.
why in general we have seen in terms of Indian nationalists or Indian right-wing people, are they too idealistic? Are they too good to actually fight this battle? Which I have somewhere down the line, okay, I have observed, I have an opinion that if you are fighting a war, okay, you
You
need to
can't.
read Artha, you need to read Arthashastra, okay,
Hmm.
and you need to learn how do you fight a war. When you are
True.
fighting a war, you have to understand that you have to do some bad things to make sure good things
Yes.
happen.
Yeah.
So our right wing people in general or nationalists in general are too idealistic, are too good as a collection of human beings to be able to fight this monster.
I can't disagree with you entirely there. This is the problem. Like some यही तो problem है कि
And and
um,
and one more thing, and just sorry
you're
for
fighting with
interjecting.
an
See,
asura and you can't fight without a weapon, right? You can't kill an asura
exactly,
without a
exactly,
weapon,
exactly,
right?
exactly. I know.
And
I
what
wanted
else?
to make one more point. See, when I am making a point, an opinion that right-wing people are too good, too idealistic in terms of their perspective and point of view, I have been with them. I have talked with them. I have worked with them. So a lot of people actually have a very bad habit of like not knowing enough of the subject and then make a comment. Okay, I have spent
That's
time for
true.
almost 10 years with them. Okay, in terms
Hmm.
of being part of it, working with them, understanding with them, talking with them, reading books, reading material. Then I come to a
Yes.
conclusion. Okay, this is like this. So a lot of
Hmm.
people in our audience as well might have, okay, these people are not good enough because have you spoken to them? At least make an effort, then have your opinion. You always have an opinion, it's very good, but at least make an effort. Okay, just do not watch two movies and two interviews of people and start commenting this is bad, this is bad. So yeah, so please go ahead.
No, no, absolutely. I don't disagree with you. And the problem lies perhaps in our, we've been burdened with Christian morality more than Hindu dharma. I think that is the main problem there. Like we were taught कि Hindu dharma is equal to Christian morality. यही हमको मतलब this is the problem, and this is what happens when we make Gandhi the father of the nation and stuff like that, like non-violence and stuff like that, and the underhandedness that others use against us. We are taught कि नहीं नहीं वो कर रहा है तो कर रहा है, you shouldn't do that. This is the most bullshit argument I've ever heard in any by any group of people, and Hindus keep doing that. Like, uh, if you tell them that these people did this, and they'll be like, "Oh, so should I also do this?" Okay, that kind of thing. So that I think we have to get rid of that. I guess it will take some time. You can't undo so easily. 70-80 years of, again, 70-80 years ही नहीं मतलब almost सी मुगल ने तो ज्यादा प्रोपेगेंडा के ऊपर काम नहीं किया, वो पंक्चर वाला कितना काम करेगा, बट आई मीन द ब्रिटिश एंड these other the commies and stuff, these people, they did it, and this is the result of 270 years of propaganda per se. As a result, when CSK and I keep telling people that Hinduism has nothing to do with caste, Hindus themselves are against that view. Okay, so we have a very long uphill battle, और ये तो सिर्फ शुरुआत है. मतलब this is not a bad beginning, but it has to be it has to be done on a massive scale for there to be actual change. Yep. Oh, thanks for these figures. Yeah, they're pretty good. I myself watch a ton of your mic is muted.
Yeah, thanks to AI.
हाँ हाँ हाँ. नहीं ये
Yeah,
सही है. I mean, it is. I myself watch a ton of Hollywood movies, so I know all this. I mean, know that Hollywood is
yeah,
very important.
like the topic is about cinema as a medium, correct? So we need to give
Yeah, yeah,
data to people. Like we are not showing false data, we are showing exact data which is there on the public opinion, but people don't notice it. So it is our
yeah.
job to make it available to people so that
Absolutely.
people can see your point of view, see my point of view, and also see the data which is there. So it makes
Yeah,
better sense for people who are watching it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we have Aryan Invader with us. Namaste.
নমস্কার দাদা,
Namaste.
নবীনবাস দাদা
Uh,
অ্যান্ড একাডেমিক ম্যান।
yeah, yeah.
আশা করি আপনি এখন ভালো আছেন নবীনবাস দাদা।
Yes,
আহ,
yes, yes, much better.
আপনাকে দেখে আমার খুব ভালো লাগলো। আহ, I do have few points, but one point that I really want to ask is regarding the Savarkar movie.
Hmm.
हिंदी में पूछो तो चलेगा क्या?
Yes, 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 you can use Hindi as well. No
Ah,
problem.
you're
ठीक है तो
Aryan invader after all. Yeah. Hindi
हाँ
impose
तो
please.
हिंदी और संस्कृत इम्पोज करें। ठीक है तो
हाँ,
अ, मैं पूछ रहा था कि ये जो सावरकर फिल्म हिट नहीं हुई, क्या इसका कारण ये भी है कि वी एज अ सोसाइटी आर नॉट रेडी फॉर सावरकर? हम सावरकर के लिए तैयार नहीं हैं। ना ही हमारे नेता मंत्री और जो एलीट बैठे हैं वो तैयार है सावरकर के लिए। सावरकर का महिमा मंडन अर्थात
hmm.
यूलोजाइज करना सावरकर को एक बात है, और उनको समझना जानना और वो क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग लाना जो अथॉरिटी को क्वेश्चन करने लगे वो एक दूसरी बात है। डू यू थिंक इट इज वेरी इनकन्वीनियंट फॉर द एलिट्स दैट पीपल स्टार्ट अंडरस्टैंडिंग सावरकर?
I uh, I won't say this here. I actually believe that Savarkar is one of the most radical thinkers India has produced in the last 100 years or so, apart from Aurobindo and a few others. Savarkar is one of the most important and radical. But Savarkar is a radical. Let us not forget that. Like Savarkar is not a conservative by any means of stretch of imagination. His dedication to the motherland, the fatherland is much more than it is a very uh, addictive thing, I would say. Like if you go into a kind of rabbit hole of Savarkar, then you will like jo CSK and all people get, right? Like people cannot stop admiring the guy if you actually go deep into his life and stuff, right? Now, having said that, like I said, because he is not a run of the mill conservative guy, he is not one of those people who are like, it's all good and this is it, and let's just let's fight and all that. He is not so simple. He has very complex ideas, which are actually, if you think about it, uh, very dangerous as well. If you think about it. So, like you said, that even the ruling class and the society both are not ready for a Savarkar revolution in this country, and that is why two films. Like I keep saying, that why I compare Article 370 with Savarkar is Article 370 came out a few months before Savarkar, and it earned I think 150 or 200 crore or something like that. But Savarkar did not even earn I think 30 crores. Okay, वो भी मतलब a lot of people in Maharashtra watched it, so it earned a bit of money. So if you take all this into account, you'll see that it was not promoted by anyone. Okay, except maybe Randeep Huda and a few other social media influencers, it was not promoted by anyone. So therein lies the problem. I think Savarkar is too radical a thinker for us to expect to be, made mainstream. Yes, of course, we all admired him, and even maybe a lot of BJP leaders and all, a lot of people admired him. But I think that he asked a lot of questions which are uncomfortable. He even asked us questions like, as Hindus, he keeps that quote keeps coming up on the internet all the time. Like, I'm not scared of Muslims and Christians. I'm scared of Hindus who are against Hinduism and stuff. So he forces you to actually ask a lot of uncomfortable questions, which I don't think we are yet ready for. So I think you have a point there.
Yeah, I thought so because Savarkar is inconvenient for every side. That's what I have
Yes.
noticed. Even sometimes for me also, I would really admit it. So another point I had was that regarding Bengal Files, do you think
Yeah.
one thing I am sure is that कि गोपाल पाठा को लोकप्रिय बना के रही है फिल्म। गोपाल पाठा की चर्चा पूरे देश भर में होने लगेगी, ये मुझे पूरा विश्वास है। दूसरा है कि हमारे बंगाल में ये एक समस्या रही है कि बंगालीज़ को मैस्कुलिन नहीं माना जाता है या थोड़ा-सा देखा जाता है कि मैस्कुलिनिटी का अभाव है। क्या बंगाल फाइल्स उसमें कुछ परिवर्तन ला सकती है कि बंगाली हिंदूज़ आर आल्सो मैस्कुलिन, दे आल्सो फाइट?
I okay, so this image of Bengali femininity, okay, this was actually created by the British. Huh. Very interesting. This is not new. This was created back in the 19th century. Mrinalini Sinha, she has a book called The Effeminate Bengali Gentleman. Okay. This image was created for a very different reason because Bengal was the seat of revolutionary politics, whereas they wanted to contrast the Bengalis with the so-called martial races. So the martial races were the Sikhs and the Gurkhas and these other people, okay, Rajputs. तो हमारे साथ वो थोड़ा because Bengal में people like Gopal Mukherjee, people like Rajbihari Bose, Netaji, Shama Prasad, Aurobindo, many others were coming up, Swami Vivekananda. So this effeminate image was actually promoted, and our tragedy is that a lot of Bengali Hindus actually picked up on this. Okay. Whether this will change the perception of Bengalis as being effeminate, masculine, all that, I don't know. As long as Bengali men wear saris, I don't think that's going to change. Okay. हो सकता है कि ये ऐसा है कि people would respect your grandfather and not respect you, that kind of thing. Like people might respect Bengalis before 1977 and not respect Bengalis after 1977. So that might just be the case.
What, but do you think Bengalis themselves will be inspired to be a little more masculine, to say that we will fight, to build that Kshatriya fighting spirit? Do you think?
I think some changes are happening. People are going to gyms. People are talking about fitness for all of a sudden. That all stuff is happening. People are also, promoting kind of more masculine image for themselves and stuff. That is happening for a few years now. But whether this film will actually, change that thing, I have no idea. Okay, because honestly, this film, you have to understand, this film is not about resistance as much. If you think that this is about Hindu resistance, then it's not a film about Hindu resistance. As far as now, I haven't seen the movie, but if I am to correctly understand its purpose, it is to show Hindu genocide. Okay. और हाँ, बाद में थोड़ा बहुत रेजिस्टेंस हुआ था, वो तो ठीक है, बट ओवरऑल if you see, it's a very unequal story of violence if you think about it, and that is the
Yeah,
primary focus. In the trailer, last में 2 second के लिए Gopal Mukherjee and a few others come, but before that there is like tons of violence by the other side, right? So that is the main thing, and I think that should be the purpose more. Of course, they will show end on a positive note with Gopal Mukherjee and all, but majority of the movie should be dedicated to the actual things that happened.
okay. I will skip through, okay, some points. तो और एक है, तो एक मेरा पर्सनल ऑब्जर्वेशन है, जब मैंने शिंडलर्स लिस्ट देखी थी ना, तो सबसे ज्यादा जो मुझे सीन अफेक्ट करता है उसका, वो है कि घर में घुसते हैं जहाँ पर ज्यूज लोग छुपे हैं और सबको खोज खोज के निकाल के मारते हैं, और वहाँ पे जो जनरल है वो पियानो बजाता रहता है। वो सच में मेरे हार्ट को वो सीन लगा था, वो बहुत भयंकर लगा था, वो मुझे अभी भी बहुत अच्छे से याद।
You need a Spielberg for that. You need Spielberg and a ton of money to make that. But it's good. I mean, it's good that also, see, interestingly, we live in an age when technology is actually cheaper. So a movie like Schindler's List, it takes time to, it won't take a lot of money anymore to make that quality of movies, right? You have VFX, you have AI, you have this, you have cheaper access to mass technology, mass media, internet. So perhaps we can see our own more movies like Schindler's List and Kashmir Files and Bengal Files coming out. हो सकता है, let's see.
एक मुझे खबर देनी थी कि विवेक अग्निहोत्री वर्कशॉप्स भी रखते हैं टू टीच फिल्म मेकिंग के। तो
Yes.
मैंने कुछ देखे हैं, तो ही इज नॉट जस्ट अबाउट अर्निंग मनी, ही इज एक्चुअली ट्राइंग टू ब्रिंग अ चेंज, ही इज ट्राइंग टू इंस्टीट्यूशनलाइज हिज स्किल्स। एक मुझे पूछना था कि ये जो घटिया फिल्म्स बनती है राइट विंगर्स की, या बहुत बार मैंने देखा है बॉलीवुड में नेशनलिस्ट प्रकार के इश्यूज लिए जाते हैं और बहुत ही घटिया फिल्में बनाई जाती है। इस पे
Yeah.
प्रतीक बोराड़े ने बहुत बात की है कि क्या सत्यमेव जयते जैसी फिल्म बना देंगे या कुछ बना देंगे। तो
Yeah.
डू यू थिंक it is a possible attempt to stereotype such kind of movies कि कोई nationalist movies बनाए तो लोग पहले ही कह रहे ये तो घटिया बनाएगा, ये तो पूरा बेकार और प्रोपागेंडा फिल्म बनाएगा। Do you think there is something there where you make
With,
intentionally bad right-wing movies?
no, with due respect to Navavimarsha's points as well, I think that definitely movies like Satyameva Jayate, Conversion, you can एक मूवी बनाया कन्वर्शन जिसमें आइटम डांस हो रहा है. Okay. You have a serious issue like Love Jihad and you put an item dance there. Okay. Maybe at least Udaipur Files did not do that. Satyameva Jayate, John Abraham makes a mockery out of this thing, nationalism and love for the country. So these, of course, I mean, if you think about it, that you have to also see who's producing and who's directing these movies. And Bollywood will continue to do that. If you see a lot of recent Bollywood movies on army and all, वो ऋतिक का कुछ आया था ना, he was टॉप गन का सस्ता कॉपी बना था एक. War 2 तो हाँ, वो छोड़ दो, वो डिजिटल एप्स वो छोड़ दो. I'm saying a movie where I actually had the misfortune of watching half an hour of that movie. So उसमें नाच गाना ये सब दिखा के, I mean, Hrithik Roshan plays an Air Force pilot, and ये copy है, सस्ता copy of Top Gun Maverick. Okay, and they just make a mockery out of Indian nationalism and army. ये पहले भी था, I mean, but at least you had films like Border that would, I mean, Border for the time it was made, it was not bad, okay, but in that sense, if you think about it, yeah, I mean, there's an effort, but I also think that the audience is not that dumb. Like, the audience knows that if Vivek Agnihotri is making a movie, this must be a bit of a serious docudrama type movie, okay. And they will also see that Satyameva Jayate, obviously it's a joke. Like, I think they can discern between the two. Let them also do this. It will just burn their money. ये black money white करने का scheme कर रहा है. Let that also happen. If sometimes, you know what happens, sometimes such horrible nationalist movies come out, like ये nationalist भी है कि नहीं, I have my doubts, that sometimes a Vivek Agnihotri movie gets elevated even more. Like, these movies are so bad that even an average Vivek Agnihotri movie seems like an Oscar-winning movie. So perhaps that might also work. It's not always all bad.
Yeah, my question was not on people who make bad movies because they are not skilled at the art. My point was, is there an intention behind it?
Deliberate, yeah. Perhaps it is deliberate. Why else would they make? I actually went to watch Satyameva Jayate. Okay, I had the misfortune again of watching Satyameva Jayate because I am addicted to movies, and that's yeah. And Satyameva Jayate, absolute crap. Okay, absolute crap. Like, I was scrolling on my phone the entire time. So I mean, that's the problem with these. I personally also went because I'm a John Abraham fan. I used to be. Now that's what they do. But again, like I said, sometimes what happens is, you see a crap, absolute ton of crap like Satyameva Jayate, and then you realize that, okay, maybe you have renewed respect for Agnihotri. Maybe that works. Maybe I won't always see the negative in that. Sometimes it has positives. Okay.
And this is one more point that I want to put across. Um, that one movie that was bad but became a big hit, and it had a majorly a positive impact was Chhawa. Uh, why do I say
Hmm.
that? कि फिल्म उतनी अच्छी नहीं थी, मैं देखा था, कुछ-कुछ सीन्स बहुत अच्छी थी, स्पेशली लास्ट की
Yeah,
जो
yeah,
कविता वो लोग बोलते हैं, पर ऐसे
yeah.
फिल्म उतनी अच्छी नहीं थी, उसमें बैलेंसिंग बहुत बेकार का किया गया था।
Yeah,
तो
yeah, yeah.
और प्रेजेंटेशन भी खराब था, बट मुझे एक बात अच्छी लगी छावा की कि उसने एक चर्चा शुरू कर दी थी आसपास कि
Yes, yes,
संभाजी
yes.
महाराज कौन थे, शिवाजी महाराज कौन थे, फिर ये एचवी दीदी के चैनल पे बुद्ध भूषण पढ़ने लग गए लोग। तो यदि ये फिल्म नहीं आती तो लोग ये सोचते भी नहीं कि ऐसा कुछ होता है।
No, that's
तो
true. That is why
तो
also
मुझे
these are
लगता है
necessary. At least people will start talking about these topics, right? Even Udaipur Files, people had forgotten Kanhaiyalal, right? So even to abuse the movie, you maybe talk about Kanhaiyalal for 2 minutes. That's also a lot. I mean, sometimes we've been battered and bruised so much. Even just talking about these things might help. So let's see if we have more such. I'm hoping that for more good movies. But again, like I said, let's see what happens. But it's a more of a positive change now. Either way, compared to maybe 10 years ago, certainly more positive now.
just one sentence before we go on to the next one. Just one sentence, Dada. Don't mind. That is, uh, my point has always been we need a right-wing equivalent of Malayalam film industry if we really want to push our ideology. क्योंकि मलयालम जैसी फिल्में कोई नहीं बनाता है। मैंने देखा है उनके जैसा फिल्म मेकिंग किसी का नहीं आज इंडिया में व्हेन इट कम्स टू पुशिंग प्रोपागेंडा विद सोफिस्टिकेशन। ऐसा ही
Yeah,
राइट विंग चाहिए अपने, पर वो एक्सपेक्ट करना थोड़ा ज्यादा है मुझे लगता है। खैर,
maybe in the near future, or maybe they can do Aryan invasion of Malayalam industry.
Okay, let
आई
me
होप
answer
सो।
this question. Yeah, let me answer this question to RN Invader. See, the problem with general public is that we see the outcome and we want to replicate the outcome. Okay, but 9 out of 10 people will not go and understand the process by which the outcome was achieved. Okay, so you need to look at it the in terms of Malayalam movie industry. Okay, what process by which they are able to produce or make those kinds of movies. You have to copy that process to achieve that outcome. You cannot magically create a equivalent of Malayalam movie industry just by hoping that something will happen. So you have to go back and study the cash flow, how it was done, how it was created, narrated, all those things. We have to understand the process, replicate the process to have that, and that requires money, that requires cash flow, and that requires institutions built over decades, so that you can see this kind of outcome. So all those people who are listening to this, go back and try to understand the process by which the outcome was achieved, rather than only look at the outcome and see, okay, I want this outcome for me as well. For that, you have to do that 50 years of work which was done prior to getting that outcome. Yeah, and now we have Munshi Shastri with us. Namaste.
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 I just want to I just want to say it's not the process we should copy, it's the structure, right? And we have to own the form. So if you take the same process as the Malayalam or even the Tamil film industry, you'll end up with the same kind of movies because those processes are made for those kinds of movies, right? So those genre, those topic of movies. Process का भी copy नहीं करना चाहिए. Structure copy करो, process adapt karo, but own
Yeah,
the form. Own the form,
yeah.
right? So that's the thing. The second thing I do want to state is that we don't need Agnihotris. We need Agnihotri, the producer, right?
Hmm.
One thing that's been missing in this entire conversation is the lack of a producer, right? So let me give
Hmm.
you an example. So rap industry in the US, right? So 1980s, 90s, mein, it was very the American state was very much against rap rap music. So there was at one point in time the American state would publish what they call public service announcements, basically apna propaganda ads, right? Talking about rap and why rap is evil and why rap is क्या बोलते हैं, leads to violence and gangsters and blah blah blah, right? That all failed because what the folks did is they just kept on. They had one producer, and the producer kept on producing, finding talent, producing his music, and releasing it onto the wild, right? And then rap became extremely acceptable and popular throughout the year. So the thing is, like, if that producer wasn't there, rap would have died, right? Similarly, we shouldn't focus on filming. I mean, as a film connoisseur, sure, you should follow filmmakers, right? You should follow your actors. You should follow your genre you like. You should follow the directors you like. But more importantly, we need that producer who can go out there, find another Agnihotri, find another what's it called? Who's the guy who made 370? Aditya something.
Aditya Dhar, yeah.
Aditya Dhar, and then keep making movies, right? And it's not going to be like all movies will be at the level of artsy, art house or something like that. You need the crappy ones too. And you also need the Dehati flavors as well, right? Because we are a country of 1.4 billion people. एक ही art house movie से तू चला नहीं सकता है. तुझे प्रचारक करना है तो लोगों को मिलके लोगों के क्या होते हैं लेवल पे मिलके तुझे प्रचार देना पड़ता है. So those are things we should not forget as well, right? And maybe we should also start pushing like some of the more successful directors into a producer role.
There are few, like this Kashmir Files movies was produced by that Abhishek Agarwal Arts. He is also producing Bengal Files. And then another, then there is this Kannada film production, that is Hombale Films. They are producing interesting movies. So
yeah, but
we have to
Hombale,
also identify those kind of producers and create new ones. No doubt about it.
yeah. Hombale is doing a great job, right? Mahavatar Narsimha is produced by them. Kantara is produced by them, right? So, but even when you look at Hombale films, they don't stick to one genre. They make masala movies, they make regular movies, right? They also have fun, but at the same time, they also produce movies like Mahavatar Narsimha, Kantara, etc., etc. We need something like that at the Agnihotri level, right? Agnihotri अभी फिलहाल 2-3 मूवी कर रहा है. वो अग्रवाल प्रोडक्शन क्या has he found the next Agnihotri like Hombale has? I don't think so, right? They need to take the next step.
It's risky as well. Like if
They
you make a movie like
are more into.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I'll just finish this.
Okay, one important question has come. So I think people, whoever wants to answer this question, should Bollywood be repaired or salvaged, or just quietly be replaced? Very interesting question.
I think it should be co-opted. Like people like Kashyap. I know a lot of people hate him and all that, but like I'll tell you guys my prediction for West Bengal. Maybe if BJP wins, okay. If BJP wins, big if, okay. But I believe it is becoming more and more possible every day. If BJP wins in 2026 Bengal, then I can guarantee you the biggest Bengali filmmakers will turn like indie queen within like a week. Okay, एक हफ्ता भी नहीं लगेगा. Okay, and the problem is the reason is that because Bengal में पैसा नहीं है, so if you have to move with the government, and if the government wants more right-wing content, they will have to churn out right-wing content. There is no option. But a Mumbai film industry is something else entirely, because there's not just the government that can coerce you to make a movie. Okay, there are many other sources of funds for movies, right? So an Anurag Kashyap can get funds. Those that guy who keeps making crappy movies with this guy, वो क्या बोले वो Ayushman Khurrana. He made that Article 15 or some movie, Anubhav Sinha. So a lot of these people get funded by non-government sources, by big, even perhaps even foreign sources and stuff. So I think that they should be co-opted quietly, not just destroyed. Or I mean, you can't destroy them like that, but if you try to do too much against them, they become heroes, and then there is a section of the people who watch their movies and think that I am doing some great kranti. But if you get the same guys, if you give them what they want, not always, again, some of them, not all of them, if you give some of them what they want and you tell them, हाँ भाई थोड़ा थोड़ा करके अभी right के तरफ मुड़ जाओ, हाँ, then they will all they will slowly, some of them will definitely change, and that could change, that
I have
change
a
things.
follow-up on this, small follow-up. That is, you talked about that Bollywood should be co-opted. Do you think that some production houses need to be overthrown from Bollywood because they are too attached with certain funding sources which are not pro-India or let's say pro-Hindi? Some major production houses need to be phased out of, or they may need to be made irrelevant in the scheme of things. Do you think so? Old guard of Bollywood, let's say.
That is one thing, right? Bollywood is not just one or two families like West Bengal film industry. Okay, Bollywood has a lot of players. Karan Johar hai, then Mahesh Bhatt hai, these that, like I can name maybe 10 people off the top of my head. Amir Khan, Shah Rukh Khan, Red Chillies Entertainment, all these people, right? So when you say Bollywood as a whole, that's what I'm saying. Like you cut off, you do salami slicing with Bollywood, essentially. That's my point. You slowly cut them off and co-opt them. Some of them, not all of them. And if the rest will have to fall in line. If the rest don't fall in line, or even if they are funded by the enemy, let's say there some like 5 leftist film comes out in a year. It's not like everyone watched Article 15, right? So ऐसा भी नहीं है कि just because a leftist film comes out, people will become leftist tomorrow. That's also not true. But yes, if you get a number of good directors and producers in your kitchen, then you can change things significantly, and change will follow eventually.
Yeah, but these production houses also have monopoly, and they capture cinema halls and screens, and do not allow new budding producers and directors to get screens. That is also an issue. Uh,
Yeah, that's
let's
why
see what happens in the future.
no, that's why it's easier to co-opt, right? I agree with academic man here. So you have to
Yeah.
realize one thing is that Bollywood, pretty much every state movie industry, is like a closed club. They're no different from Latvians in the way they guard their, let's call it, fiefdom, right?
Hmm.
So if you can get like maybe 3 or 4 of them, there's typically 3 or 4 of them in super producers who generally control the entire industry. If you can get like 3 or 4 of them aligned with state objectives, then I think you've essentially captured the entire industry. That's what Tamil Nadu does. And Tamil Nadu doesn't go after directors. Tamil Nadu doesn't go after producing houses. They go after producers,
Yeah.
right? In the 90s, Bollywood, the local state government, particularly the Congress, they viciously went after producers. Uh,
Yeah.
it's you can easily co-opt them. Like the thing is, like Anurag Kashyap will also fall in line if all the producers basically say you have to fall in line.
Yeah.
And Amir Khan can't get too much done if producers say you're a liability. I mean, वैसे भी हो रहा है, right? I mean, look at Amir Khan. Like he's
Yeah.
suddenly changing his tone. क्यों? उसको production houses से कोई भी उसके ऊपर हाथ नहीं लगा रहा है. He's essentially
Exactly.
turned into a huge liability. अब वो
Yeah.
he's slowly changing his tone. He's trying to get in good books of the producer. He's changed
He
his
might play
entire language.
Savarkar very soon. He might play Savarkar very
हाँ
soon.
नहीं वो
Could
भी
happen.
वो भी करेगा नहीं आई एम नॉट किडिंग लाइक वो समय भी आएगा जब आमिर खान हिमसेल्फ विल रिक्वेस्ट लाइक मुझे मैं सावरकर बनता हूँ राइट just for the sake of getting in the
Exactly.
good books of the producer everything
Yeah.
depends on the producer so
Yeah.
इसीलिए I come back to the same point I made earlier right we don't need Agnihotris we need producers.
We need the Agarwals. Yeah.
Yeah,
That Agarwal.
We need the Agarwals, we need the Hombales,
Yeah.
we need to even get let's say Yash Chopra into this. Like you can twist them into get
Yeah.
building a
Yeah.
market for you.
Okay.
Exactly.
So I think we are at the end of our show. So let me put 2 points and then we will end our program for today. So whatever RN Invader and Munshi Shastri has said, there are two problems with this thing. One is because right wing is a kind of a reactive force. Okay, so we are politically and culturally actually not matured enough to actually understand the process of co-opting. You will see Dilip Mandal being co-opted, and a section of the nationalists would say it's the worst thing BJP has done. Correct. So
Yes.
in terms of maturity, political maturity, and also maturity as a people group, okay, as a ideological group, we are not mature enough to actually do that right now because we are too reactive in nature. And second thing is, as a power group, as a power structure in terms of Hindutva power structure, we suffer from 1971 onwards of Stockholm syndrome, where a lot of people who were left wing, they pretend to be right wing, and they scoot up a lot of things for the right wing. So right wing itself is suffering through the Stockholm syndrome, where they are unable to actually identify and work with them in terms of co-option, and the audience or the base which is there of right wing people, of nationalist people, they are unable to understand that co-opting tactic as a long term strategy. So these 2 points are need to be keep in mind when you're talking about this. It will take a long process. A reactive movement will take a long time, will make a lot of mistakes, and end of the day they will settle down. So we are a kind of in a teenage stage in terms of right wing politics and right wing movements. Over to you,
Uh,
academic man, and then we will end the show.
I just have to clarify one thing because you
Hmm,
commented on what I
hmm,
said.
hmm.
I'm not a big person. I'm not in favor of co-opting a lot. To be honest, I'm not a big co-opting person, kind of a person. I believe in building parallel institutions so that it can
Oh,
replace
that is
the
that is
existing one.
fine.
Like,
See, that is
like,
fine, but see, that is something you
Some.
have to be practical. As Munshi Shastri has mentioned, you have to be practical in terms of your. See, if you want an outcome, you need to find an optimized process to actually get the outcome. You cannot have an ideal process to get the outcome. Yes,
no,
Munshi.
no, we need the process. I'm, I'm talking about what we need. Of course, the process has to be done. What I am saying is there are certain outcomes. Like Gita Press was an outcome of a parallel institution, or Garud Prakashan is an outcome. Whether we like it or not, maybe it's not mainstream, but it's having an impact. Or this Agarwal Arts is an outcome, or Hombale Films is an outcome. They are creating a parallel structure of power. So it is happening. So that is why I think we should not get too carried away with the idea of co-option, because I think some of these structures, these producers and these power structures are not co-optable. That is my view. In some cases, they are not co-optable, and right wing does not have the sophistication to co-opt like the left wing, and we are not that conniving. So that is also one of the parts.
And I'm just going to say, put it simply, so that's bullshit. Like, conniving bhi hai, ye bhi hai. It's just a matter of time. You can't. I mean, it might seem like 10 years is too long, but it is not. It's
Yes.
actually quite short, right? And you need co-option, you need subversion, you need
You need
parallelization.
every,
It's not, huh? Yeah,
you need
it's an
every tool. You can't work with just one set of tools. That's the whole thing.
एग्जैक्टली राइट एंड ऐसा अब भी ऐसा लग रहा है कि इन लोग हमेशा एक ही तरह के लोग हैं बट दैट्स नॉट ट्रू इट टुक अबाउट 30 years for the Congress to reign in Bollywood, the Hindi movie industry. 35
Yeah.
years, 30 35 years, right? So even in the 70s Bollywood was still making movies that was against government agenda. वो ध्यान पे रखो.
Yeah.
It wasn't until like the late 80s and 90s where they got pretty much broken down that they started basically following the government line. So it's not like any of these like let's call them entrenched players are stuck in their ways forever, and it's always been that way. They उनको तोड़ना है तो तोड़ सकते हैं और तोड़ भी रहे हैं. So it's not as cynical as it seems to be. It's just slow, and it is always going to be this way.
No, think about it. Agnihotri was a mainstream movie director before he became a indie movie director, right?
Exactly.
He was a mainstream. He made Hate Story 3. He made Chocolate. He made many movies which are not at all like 10 kilometers radius में नहीं है indie queen के. हाँ.
Right.
Then he changed his brand.
Rishabh Shetty used to make all kinds of masala movies, right? So
Yeah.
you have to be part of the system, within the system, before you can either expand the system to make your own space or dislodge other players. So
you need every tool. Like you can't use like you can't say I will only deal with guns. I won't deal with bombs. You have to use every weapon in your arsenal to kind of make an impact in the society. You can't have only one strategy. You have to use everything. And I think that's what where we all I think logically we most of us agree to that. Yeah.
Right. And as Hindus, we have to also think about it in terms of ekam sat viprate bahuta vinanti, right? Like हम एक सत्य की तरह हम मुड़ रहे हैं, मगर उसके लिए भी अलग अलग पंथ है, अलग अलग रास्ताएं हैं, वो याद रखना जरूरी है. And it's not like हम लोग even in this particular forum we always think about one path and my path is better than the other. We have to stop that.
Exactly.
Okay, so I think we are out of time. So thank you everybody for joining and sharing your thoughts.
To say, but we will
We will do it next time. We are out of time. So thank you, Munshi Shastri. Thank you, Aryan Innovator. Thank you, Academic Man, for your time and patience.
Thanks
so we'll see you in our next podcast. Jai Shri Ram, Vande Mataram.
Jai Shri Ram, Vande Mataram.